Perhaps we need some outside universal threat to make us recognize this common bound. I occasionally think how quickly our differences worldwide would vanish if we were facing an alien threat from outside this world.
Good evening and welcome to Spaced Out Radio tonight. How y'all doing? It's R Keith Andrews. Who's ready to ride the woo train down to Alienville? I know I am, and hopefully you are too. R Keith will be with us momentarily as we get our woo hats on. Let's get the tinfoil close by just in case, because he's taking us on a wild ride tonight. Let's say hello to all of you. I am Pam. Let's say hello to all. I am Pam. Let's say hello to. I am Pam. Let's say hello to all of you in the chat room tonight. We got Nightmare in the gold medal position. Race Fan taking home his 5th silver in a row. And Kathy Evans with a bronze medal tonight. Hi, Penny Van and Ross Lambda. How you doing? I am Pam. And Michael Morris, how are you, my friend? Les Paul Holland strumming away on his Gibsons. Yes, he is. Simon the Dogface, how are you, buddy? Brown Dwarf, Robert Lamoth, Lisa C., Judy of Gall. Nice to have you all here. D. Cohen, how you doing, buddy? Linda Bennett is here, and Linda will be signing autographs. I am Pam. After the show, yep. Line up to the left of the studio, if you don't mind. To the left of the studio. Jessica and Love V Love, thank you for joining us. Really appreciate it. Human Carl, thank you for kicking off the super chat tonight on your drive home from Phoenix. We love you, man. Drive safe, and thank you for your love and support of Spaced Out Radio, my friend. We really do appreciate it. Moving on here, there is Luscious Jewels. The Michael Leger has returned. Mama Susan, Jeff Steve Garvey, he'll hit a home run for you. Hi, Rui from Portugal. Sandy B., how are you? And who else do we have here? Well, let's scroll on down and do a little check here. And let's see here. Got you all. Oh, Thomas Fessler, you're early tonight. How you doing, buddy? And let's see, who else do we have here? Let's see, Crystal J. Ozzy Sue, how are you? Sweet Donna Spencer. I love it when she calls me Dashing Dave. Oh, just warms me all up. All right, I am Pam. Look at that. No, I am Pam. I am Pam, you motherless goat. No, I am Pam. I am Pam. No, I am Pam. You're Pam? No, I am Pam. All right. Hi, Pam. I am you. And you are me. Hadley, how are you? Thanks for joining us. Millennium, good to see you. And who else is joining us tonight? Oh, there he is, ladies and gentlemen. Doug Shelby is here. The Doug Shelby has arrived, which means we can officially start this show. TMI Kevin, how you doing, man? Nice to have you here. The lovely Kira and W. David Page. Marty Burback, how you doing? Thank you for joining us. Grandizer, what's up, my man? Good to see you. And Marlena, how are you? Marlena will be signing autographs after the show as well. Line up to the right of the studio, if you don't mind. To the right of the studio. Philip Blair, how you doing, man? Good to see you. And who else do we have here? Let's scroll on down. I am Pam. Let's scroll on down. Super Duke from World Bigfoot Radio. Sonia, how are you? Let's start the radio side here. So that way we can let Bill WD40 into the Spreaker chat so he can lube us up for tonight's show. Lily Pond, Terry Falser, welcome to SOR chat. How you doing, man? And get comfy on the couch over there if you don't mind. All right, Pixie Lara, Digger Dog, Silent Listen, BBD Warrior, it's been a while. Good to have you here. Hi, Bielsa Brad. And how are you? And let's see, who else we got? Oh, Thomas Fessler. Thank you for that super chat, my friend. Thomas Fessler from Disclosure Tonight, usually on right before us here on YouTube. A great information show that you should all be subscribed to. I know a lot of you are, but if you aren't, then you should get there. Philip Blair, yep, I am Pam. Susan Go, what's happening, my man? Good to see you. And who else do we have? Pink Volo, Michael Fontaine, Jenny. How are you, my dear? Love you. And who else is here? Oh, we got like 20 seconds. I better hurry up here. Video Game Zombie, thanks for coming on in. Blue Cruise, how you doing? And oh my goodness, I might actually run out of time. Sweet Amy WC, how are you? You better be coming to Vegas. Ozzy Ange better be coming to Vegas. We love you, Ozzy Ange. And I think we're caught up. Nightmare called you out. Horns up right now. Let's rock. From the mountains of central British Columbia to you listening around the world, this, my friends, is Spaced Out Radio. I am your host, Dave Scott, sitting in the captain's chair of SOR headquarters. We welcome you to tonight's show on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on Odyssey Radio, TalkStream Live, and KPNL. All of our archives are free. Join us at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. You can follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on TikTok at Spaced Out Radio. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. Tonight's show is brought to you by Chive Charities. Help make the world 10% happier by visiting Chive Charities today. You can find them on our website. We got a power show of woo tonight. Of course, it's R Keith Andrews night. It's the ET Connection, where we all hop on the woo train and learn everything that we can about the high strangeness of aliens and ET contact. Then in hour number 3, we're going to head to the swamp. Our resident swamp dweller takes you on another spooky journey. And little Timmy Senor, our resident Timbit, will join us for the UFO report. Now, it's been almost 8 years since we've had this guy on. 8 years. Well, no, he's been on with us for almost 8 years is what I should say. 7 or 8, one of the two. But we love him around here. We know you do too, because he is the conductor of the woo train. He is the king of the high strangeness. And you know what? R Keith Andrews is somebody who is a lifelong ET contactee. He is someone who has been there, done that when it comes to extraterrestrial contact. Now, it's up to you whether you want to believe him or not. It really is. But one thing I know about Keith, this guy is as honest as can be. And Keith now helps counsel those who are having their own ET problems, contact, dreams, whatever it may be. That's what he does. That's what he specializes in. That's what he's good at. And we love him when he is here, and we love him all the time. R. Keith Andrews, my friend, it's always good to be with you. Happy New Year to you.
Happy New Year to you as well as all the people that have joined us here.
It's a busy, busy night already, my friend. A busy, busy night, because everybody needs a little R. Keith Andrews fix every now and again. And you know what? I don't blame them. I don't blame them whatsoever. How is your holidays, my friend?
Shall we say a little different? A week before Christmas, they closed the company I was working for. Like, literally, they tried giving me an hour's notice. I got 10 minutes. You know, so I'm heading for early retirement, but that's okay.
Well, you know what? At least they gave you some notice, you know? At least they gave you 10 minutes. I mean, that's real nice. Very professional.
You know, I can't really fault them. I mean, they gave us a decent severance package in the whole 9 yards. But after 22 years of working for them, it would have been nice to get a little more warning. You know?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And you know what? I understand your plight. I understand your issues. And I do apologize that you had to go through that. Now, did you have any ET contact over the holidays?
Oh, fair chunk. Some of the conversations have been remarkable. They're very, I was going to say very up in arms, but that's the wrong word for it. They are really perplexed by the number of people that are still focusing on them coming down here en masse to sort out the world, to sort out man's problems. That's not what they do. You know, but it's funny because one of the standing conversations there is how mankind keeps looking off the planet to solve the problems they've got on the planet.
Oh, I can understand that. I can totally understand that. And, you know, the idea behind it is when you get these messages or you get your contact happening, do you know what they are contacting you for at that time? Or do you not find out until they start yapping in your ear?
More often than not, I find out when I get there. It's like, we've got a problem, you know, we've come to pick you up. Okay. And, you know, well, what's the issue? We were told to pick you up. Is pretty much the way that conversation tends to go. Because it really boils down to the same thing up there that I do down here. Helping them understand each other. Because I'll tell you, the different, you know, humans have different cultures and what have you. Right? So you've got different languages and what have you. Up there, they do all tend to speak a modified trade language, if you will. Right? But they still have racial differences. And more specifically, species differences. You know, down here we've got this neat little rule in social etiquette that basically says don't crowd your neighbor. Up there, it's more a question of don't eat your neighbor.
Keith, out of all the species that you have ever had contact with, you know, met, seen, or whatever it may be, what's the weirdest one you've had an experience with?
That's a bit of a toss-up. The hardest one to, I think, in one sense, the hardest would be the Corelock. The Corelock are literally an amoebic race. They have no solid form. You know, and they're a little fun to try and understand. You know, one of the more of the off-worlders. Which one would it be? Just looking at it, I hate when I pull a blank on a name.
I know you do. I know you do.
So who the heck is it? Let's see. Shrink that down. Not those. It must be in volume 2.
Well, do you look at it like these Corelock things being you know, a non-boned, are they like a slug, or what are they like?
Have you ever seen Star Trek Deep Space Nine?
No, never. I've never watched an episode of Star Trek, and I'm proud of it.
Okay. For those of the audience that have, the easiest way to describe a Corelock is Odo. They literally they're essentially a one-cell creature. I mean, they actually have more than one cell, but they have no solid form. But they are the one race that humans will never get on board their ship.
It still sounds like a slug to me, man.
Yeah, but slugs have form. Picture, if you will, silly putty. You squeeze it in your hand, it goops out all over the place. Or the other one that would work really well for a description would be the blob.
So you're basically a pile of goo.
Ultimately,
is what you're
yeah.
saying. Great. We got goo aliens now. Can't we just call them goo rather than Corelocks?
Well, we could, but then we could call you an oak tree.
About the size of it.
Yeah, we're going to leave that alone for you.
Well,
but
we
no,
are going to get to some audience questions here momentarily. So the next question that I have for you, which species of ET takes you the most?
the Struzosians. But then in their case, it's because it actually runs back a lifetime. Like they started, and I ended up running into them in my last lifetime. I was actually in the military, in the American military based out of Chicago.
What happened there?
You remember Roswell?
Yeah.
So do I. Difference is I was there in my last lifetime. The first conference I ever went to, I laid out the crash site, and the one woman I was talking to, she goes, "How do you possibly know that? That was never published." I says, "No, but I remember it." She says, "You're too young. My grandfather was on that site." Right. I says, "Well, I can't help you there." I said, "What's wrong with the layout?" And she says, "Absolutely nothing." She goes, "It's absolutely perfect." But that was back in 1947. And then, of course, I ran into them again here in 1968. At which point I was only 5 years old. But the reality of that crossover was that the woman that rescued me from the MyLabs and from termination was the grown version. It was the grown child that I had rescued from back in 47.
All right, Mennonite Abe wants to know, Keith, was that race the Roswell aliens then?
From everything I remember, yeah. Only the Roswell aliens weren't Greys. Or more to the point, weren't only Greys. Because the Roswell aliens, yes, the Greys were there, but there were actually five adults. Sorry, 4 adults. They had a Struzosian, which is reptilian, on board with them, with child. So, but was it the Roswell setup? Yeah.
I was told in a conversation the last 48 hours that not a single alien survived the Roswell crash.
Okay.
Do you buy that?
Not in the slightest. I will tell you this. 2 of them died on impact. Or whether it was on impact or right after, I don't know. 2 of them died on impact. 1 male was taken, and from what I gather, died many years later. But there was a female with child that died shortly after the crash. She survived the crash, and her child was turned over to the local natives and asked to protect it until they could come and get it, which apparently worked out rather well.
Yes.
Now, in all fairness, I forget what the specific tribe of the North American Indians were that ended up with the Munchkin. But from what I gathered, when she was dropped off, they said they'd protect her and keep her hidden until she could be retrieved.
Was she ever retrieved?
Oh yeah, she's the one that actually rescued me out of the MyLab.
Oh, cool. Cool. Keith, there's been a lot of talk on where the ETs are coming from. Are they coming from outer space? Are they coming from a different dimension? Are they time travelers? Are they inner Earth?
Okay.
Where are they all coming from?
Well, the all is a little bit problematic, but I will eliminate a couple. They're not coming from another dimension, period. Some of them do come from different vibratory rates, but everything that you see in this existence is third dimensional. So, yes, they do come from outer space, and there are some that come from what people call inner Earth or hollow Earth. There's a lot of different names for it. But, none of them are time travelers. So those two you just write off. But yes, some of them come from off-world. Some of them come from Earth itself. They just happen to have evolved here. And quite frankly, we see some of them walking around on Earth, and most people just ignore them. They don't even recognize them because they blend. Some of them blend in quite nicely. But in answer to the question that somebody's bound to ask is the reason I can spot them is because they feel different. That and the fact that I've got a lot of friends that fit into those races. But yeah, when we talk about the off-worlders, they definitively come from off-world. Some as many as, some several light years away or several wormhole jumps, at which point you lose track of how many light years.
Oh, very true. Very true, because I just burn through those light years, every 10 minutes or so. Gee whiz. All right, Keith, you ready for some audience questions? They are starting to build up for you. And I know this is where the woo begins. All right, Keith, let's start off with Millennium. The most important question you will get tonight. Are you coming to the Las Vegas event, the second annual Spaced Out Radio Party, May 19th through 21st at the Golden Nugget in Las Vegas?
The intention is, yes, I will know for certain, and I will post it on my own channel and on Dave's for that matter, once I talk to the booking agent, which I am planning on putting a call in tomorrow to find out. Because the reality is I was waiting for the whole COVID mess to go away so I can get across the border. And apparently that's gone the way of the dodo bird.
Yes, it has. We are free at last. Free at last. Thank God Almighty, we are free at last.
So the intention is, I'm planning on being there.
Yes. Good. That's, like I said, that's the most important question you will get tonight. We already asked Mennonite Abe, so let's go to Blue Cruise here. Are you encountering any of the fifth dimensional energy beings on UFOs?
No. Quite frankly, neither is anybody else. The fifth dimension and beings from the fifth dimension cannot manifest in the third dimension. It'd kill them. There are other races that are running at a different vibratory rate, and therefore when they manifest, they do appear to come from a different dimension. But what they're doing is they're slowing the vibratory rate down. They're still third dimensional beings. This is where and I'm really curious whether what the problem is people are seeing the change in vibration as a different dimension. And I'm seeing it as a change in vibration. If you think about it, you take a look at a fan, and I'm talking a normal house fan or a plane propeller. You look at it and you can see it easy. The second it starts spinning or vibrating at a higher rate, you can't see the thing. And that may be the discrepancy right there.
All right. Well, let's get to another question here because we do have a lot of them. And that would come from Ange in Australia. R Keith, have you met anyone that is the now that you recognize from the future in any of your interactions?
again, we have this problem with, since I don't come back from the future, the answer is no, but I have run into some that I recognize from past encounters in past lives. But there are people I run into that, there are lots of off-world friends that I've got. Off-world and ancient race, for that matter.
Well, that's nice. That's nice.
Well,
Okay, let's
it's funny because I can't, from my standpoint, I can't exactly, what's the word I'm looking for? I keep having trouble remembering other people's names in today's world. Never mind from that side of it.
Well, let me ask you.
Sure,
let me ask you this. Have you ever ran into any future time travelers?
You mean people from the future that come back?
Yeah.
No. It's a funny thing, they can't come back. People can jump forward, but they cannot come back. See, the thing is, once you jump forward, you simply cease to be tracked in this time frame. And then all of a sudden you show up with 100 years gap. But once you're up there, you can't get back. And from here, you can't go back. You can look back, but you can't interact.
Will that ever change?
Maybe in the next rendition of reality. But in this one, I can't see it. It hasn't changed in the last several renditions.
Let's go to Terry. Thank you, Terry, being a first-time participant in our chat room. Keith, do any of the angels or demons help the Greys abduct people?
Not exactly help them abduct, but do certainly. Sometimes the Angelus the Angelus and the Daemons are both off-world races. But working with the Greys, there are some of the Angelus will go with them to help calm the abductees down. Because let's face it, seeing somebody with huge eyes and only 3 feet tall and only 3 really long fingers can be rather disconcerting for most humans. It's usually the Nordics that are involved with helping the Greys calm people down, though.
All right, let's continue on here, my friend. We got about 90 seconds. Let's see how many questions we can sneak in. Philip wants to know, do any alien races interact with people in dreams? If so, who are they? How do they do it? And for what reason?
Well, the first part is yes. Who are they? I believe it's the Talons are quite normal with it. Okay, there's a few that can do it. Why they do it is simply for communication, for interaction, without a physical abduction. Okay, it cuts down on the trauma of people. Greys tend to do it on a strictly physical level. But I believe it's the Talon actually that do most of the telepathic interaction. Although there is a subgroup of the consortium referred to as radio command that quite often will communicate on the higher senses. But then they're communication specialists.
All right, Keith, I think we're going to hold it right there. We got a ton of questions waiting for you. And there's some good woo in there, Keith. Some very, very good woo that we're going to bring to you in the next half hour because everybody knows they want to get their questions answered when it comes to aliens. And who else but our resident ET specialist, R Keith Andrews, the conductor of tonight's woo train, and apparently potentially coming to our Las Vegas fan party May 19th to 21st at the Golden Nugget Casino. Hey, you're all invited. Every single one of you listening right now is invited to our Vegas party. Yeah, come join us. Spaced Out Radio continues with R Keith Andrews and the ET Connection right after this. All right, we're clear, buddy.
Perfect.
That was quick.
It was. That first half hour just went bang. Yeah, I was just looking at prices for both the flight and for both the hotel stay. I'm looking at, and I have this is just what shows up on the net. It's going to run about $3,000.
Shouldn't be that much.
Well, like I said, I'll through travel agent because they get me a much better deal.
Yeah, do that. Yeah. All right.
Yeah, I'll just check
remember
them tomorrow, and then as soon as I know, I'll let you know.
Yeah, good. We need some R Keith Andrews love down there. You can tell us which slot machines to play.
Oh, that's the easy part. There's actually a formula that works very nicely.
I know. I just don't know what that formula is, but I know there's a formula. Yeah, you're not allowed to say none. I think you froze on us, Keith. I think you froze on us. I think Keith froze. He's Han Solo right now. He froze up on us. See if we can get him out of here and bring him back in. No, he's going to have to boot himself. Bet she's going to have to reboot his computer. Mr. Gray Owl, you better not be shadow banned. Oh, hold on. There's Keith. You got to reboot your computer? Is your computer done for the night? Okay, well, we'll do this over the phone while we can, okay?
Yeah, that's not a problem.
All right. Got to find my Velcro. All right, here we go. The perils of rock and roll decadence.
This is why I said I have to replace this computer.
Yeah. I can tell. Bad R Keith Andrews computer. Bad.
Well, that's a weird setup. Oh. Who knows?
All right. Oh, stop.
You'll know when I come back on.
Yeah. Either way, we'll get this to work for right now. All right. No, I didn't want a picture of that. Good enough. All right, Keith. You ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
All right. Oh, my God. Come on, you sweet son of a turd. All right. Let's go like this. One of these days, I'm going to find my actual phone stand.
Yeah.
Yeah. One day. Little piece of Velcro right there is going to drive me nuts. Oh, well. Hey, the show must go on. We're going to keep the show going here. Doug Shelby wants to take you out for dinner. Crab legs, apparently.
That's okay. I like crab.
Mm-hmm. Hey, good call, Corey Cole, on recognizing the perils of rock and roll decadence from Use Your Illusion Part 2. Appreciate that. Mm-hmm. YJ Overlander, how you doing? Mm-hmm. AZ Man, good to see you. Sweet son of a turd. That's right. You could steal that. You could use that. Free. Thank you to Human Carl, Thomas, Kira, Nero, and Kat. Hey, Kira, don't forget to check Facebook Messenger and your phone for a text message for me. Hi, Mark Ellens. Here we go, everyone. Second half hour of Spaced Out Radio is now underway. Thank you so much for joining us. My name is Dave Scott. Very much appreciate earning your listening ears. Want to remind you that if you missed portions of this show or others, check out our free archives. All you got to do is go to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do old Davey the favor. Hit that subscribe button, our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on TikTok at Spaced Out Radio. Hey, I want to give a big shout out to Mr. Ron Bumblefoot Thal and Soho Music out there. We have been battling this company about copyright claims on our YouTube channel because Bumblefoot allows us to use the music, but for some reason, these music companies kept on hammering us. Well, Bumblefoot went and saved the day. He put his cape on, and he became a real SOR superhero and got everything fixed up with our channel. So no more are we going to be affected by any music copyright claims. And you know what? Do Bumblefoot a favor. Go download a bunch of his music on iTunes or Google or whatever, Spotify. Go listen to him, even on YouTube. Subscribe to his channel. His music, like our theme song, Little Brother is Watching, is awesome. It is awesome. So go download it today. All right, R Keith Andrews and the ET Connection continues here on Spaced Out Radio. Keith's computer during the break crashed. So we are now having to do this through the telephone, which is what we're doing. Keith, welcome back.
And thank you so much for having me.
Hey,
thanks so much for the people that keep coming back. It's just incredible.
I'm going to get you to move a little bit closer to your phone, man, so you're not as quiet. We do need some volume, if that's okay.
Oh, I got no problem with that. I got the phone in my hand.
Perfect. Perfect. I appreciate that. All right, Keith, I want to continue on with some audience questions here, if you do not mind, because we do this show a little bit different than we do all of our other shows. So the listeners out in Vernal, Utah at channel X94 are going to be like, what the heck is this? This doesn't sound like the other shows. No, this one's a little bit different. Keith, let's get to a question from the audience, and let's go to Rhonda here. And Rhonda is asking, hello, Rhonda. Welcome to our chat room, by the way. What and why are the Greys trying to contact us and communicate with us?
That is because the human genome is the easiest one to manipulate and repair for the hybridization program, which in a nutshell is and what they're doing is growing they're developing cultural interpreters between races. The human genome is just the easiest one to work with.
And is it a good thing?
From my standpoint, I don't find it a bad thing. Basically, what they do their best to leave people's life in a normal state. This is why they use memory overlay to try and leave memories that at least seem somewhat normal, instead of completely disturbing. It doesn't always work, but that's their intention.
Okay, let's get to another question from our audience. Let's go to the scowling Greg O'Brien. Yeah, because he's always scowling. Do the Greys eat food?
Absolutely. They are actually omnivorous, meaning they eat both meat and vegetables. much like humans do. But they, it's just as wide a variety, except for where they come from. Farming is a lot more difficult because a lot of the plants from where they come from are actually carnivorous plants themselves.
Okay, that makes sense. That completely makes sense. Okay, let's go to another question here. This one from Vaughn in Edmonton. Keith, the indigenous were here first, or pardon me, the indigenous were the first at the Roswell crash?
Essentially, yes. They weren't the first to show up publicly, but they were at the site because essentially the Roswell crash happened on top of them. But like I said, if you're asking me what the tribe was, honestly, I forget what the tribe was. I think it was the Lakota, but I don't honestly recall.
All right.
But yeah, they were there before the Caucasians got there.
Let's continue on. Dirt Road is asking, what is the name of the inner Earth beings?
That's kind of a broad question. That's kind of like asking what the name of the beings that live on top of the Earth are. There is a heck of a mixture down there. Many of them are what humans would call mythological. Because you'll find what humans would call elves, dwarves, minotaurs, leprechauns, various different races of reptilians, not the least of which would be the Chitauri. And then you've also got various other ones. Like that's, if you go down there, you actually get the pleasure of taking a look at unicorns. And yes, Pegasi are a real thing.
Pegasus are real.
Pegasus are real. Yeah, you won't find them up here. Too much air traffic.
Linda Bennett wants to know, Keith, do you think they, as in the aliens, can phase in?
Oh, the answer to that, depending on the alien, the answer is yes. I know for an absolute physical fact, as in I saw them do it when I was over at the Experiencer Speak conference. I watched them transport in, very much like the science fiction version of the transporter, where they literally phase in. When I saw them leave that way, I did some talking to people and found a couple of witnesses that actually saw them arrive in exactly the same fashion. So yeah, they most assuredly can, and of course you've got other ones that will open the door. That will simply, when we talk about phasing in, they slow their vibratory rate down so you can actually see them.
Makes sense. Keith, let's get to another question here. Let us go to Corey. How do the aliens feel? Like, what do they feel like?
I gotta ask, are we talking the energetic side or the physical side?
Well, let's go both ways.
Well, depending on the species in particular, you'll get anything from the carapace to flesh and blood, or as we discussed earlier with the Corelock, they feel mostly like, if you will, silly putty. Or and then you've got the ones that feel like bark. As far as physical texture goes. Okay, but again, we're dealing with, and let's not forget the scaly people. But if you're looking at the emotional side, some of them are like, there is a whole gamut of really friendly people, all the way up to really, really negative and angry individuals. And then you've got the ones that are you just about can't feel anything off them because they are so down the middle, there is no functional emanation. the Uthar, you literally can't track them because they do things just because that's what they do. You know, there is no feeling about it. It's like, that's what I've been asked to do, so that's what I'm going to do. You know, but when it comes to when you're looking at happy, sad, you know, this sort of thing, they've got the whole gamut, depending on the day of the week and who you're talking to. You know, they do. I mean, it's kind of an odd setup when you think about it. Many of the reptilian races are not only carnivorous, but they are carrion eaters. And if they're sitting at the dinner table and one of their elders drops dead, sure, they feel the loss, but it's like they say their farewells, which is usually a, you know, thanks so much for joining us, and it's a shame you're gone, and then flip up on the dinner table, and there's your next meal. So from human standpoint, it's probably pretty cold. From their standpoint, it's just plain normal.
Well, there's always that human to normality to abnormality, my friend. It just seems to go its own way. Let's go to Penny Van here, who is asking, Keith, did the Greys have the pregnant reptilian with them for the purpose of seeding or planting her on Earth?
No, she was actually in transport. The crash was not intentional by any functional means. Okay, it was a very unfortunate situation as far as that went. You know, so I mean, it really boiled down to getting her home, getting the child home. And the mother, well, you don't separate the mother and the child at that age, except for the fact that the mother was fatally wounded. You know, that's where the real shift happened.
All right, let's go on here. Let us go on. Let's go to Bigfoot Rob. Keith, true or false? Is the universe getting warmer, causing some alien civilizations to go into a self-imposed hibernation in the hopes that the universe gets far colder to expand their tech?
As far as I understand the science of it, no. But it is reaching it is, and when I'm talking about it reaching the end of its cycle, okay, I'm referring to something that is still literally trillions of years down the road.
All right. It looks like we got your computer back up and running here. So we're going to switch back over to that audio right there. Keith, can you hear us okay?
I hear you fine. The other things have fired up at the same.
All right. Well, we'll give you a moment to. We'll give you a moment to get that going. You know, we're trying to provide the best audio possible for Keith here because he's just got his computer going here momentarily again. All right. Looks like we're ready to go here. Keith, are you good to go now?
Oh, yeah, I'm good to go. I'm not getting the feedback now. There was a movie that popped up that decided it was going to run, so I just paused it.
Yeah, okay. Not a problem. Not a problem. Okay, let's continue on here with some audience questions. Were you done with the Bigfoot Rob one and the colder universe alien tech?
Oh, yeah. From everything I understand, the answer is no. I mean, some races will put themselves into a hibernation state, but on the whole, it is literally just a question of several, and I have no idea how to translate it into human terms, but we're talking way down the road. Eventually, what we know is reality here, and when I'm talking eventually, I'm talking millions of years down the road. This reality will fold over and start again. What humans call the Big Bang.
Oh, fun times. Fun times.
Actually, it's a rush watching it and watching it rebuild.
All right, let's go to Lawrence. How can we move the population in the right direction to become part of the galactic community?
That's the easy part. Well, understanding is the easy part. People have to get to the idea that regardless of what color, race, or any other differentiation, people are one species and equally valuable from a spiritual standpoint. When people reach the point where the majority of people reach the point that is the norm, that is when they arrive at a global community. And that does not mean a single person running the world. That's a very big distinction. A global community does not have one dictator or one leader. But humans have to spiritually evolve to the point where they look at each other as members of the same species, not something to shoot just because he looks a different color or whatever. When mankind gets to that point, which I'm betting is probably still 500 years down the road, okay, when they get to that point, that's when they will be approached to join the Galactic Consortium.
Do you think that'll be at a junior level, or will we be actually part of the discussion?
Oh, once you're brought into it, you're part of the discussion. It would be a very long time before a human sat on the Grand Council, in all likelihood. But again, that's so far down the road that we really don't need to worry about it too much at this point. What we do have to realize is that the off-worlders are not here to wipe man out or to sort out man's problem.
Okay, let's move on to another question here. Let's go to Lily Pond. Would any of your otherworldly friends ever come here to meet us?
That would end up being up to them. Okay, and in all fairness, I really cannot give you a definitive answer on that. There's a few that could blend in quite nicely, well, sort of blend in. But there is still an overall issue of how do we make contact with these people without actually scaring the daylights out of them? Because I will tell you, people can, even the most open-minded people will look at it and go, I'd love to meet a reptilian. It's a great thought until you find one show up that is like 7.5, 8.5 feet tall, armored and armed to the gills. I mean, that's the one thing about with the books I've been writing. I've actually got a picture that literally shows you the size of these things. But most of the races, the reality is humans are a skittish race. No matter how strong or how open-minded or how mentally strong they seem to think they are, most people are rather shocked by the side effects.
All right, Keith, let's continue on here as we go to Blue Cruise. Do any of the aliens, ETs, ever allow you to bring back any solid objects as a reminder or souvenir of your experience?
Negative. I've never actually brought one back with me. Whole pile of memories, but I don't have any physical proof.
Does that bug you? After all this time, they haven't even given you a t-shirt, a sticker, or anything?
I'm just quite happy that I still come back in one piece. The reality is, being reclusive myself, them not wanting to bring absolute concrete proof to the table to say, hey, we really are here, makes total sense. Because the biggest problem with them making absolute concrete proof and going, here's an artifact that we gave to just a common person, if you will, and realistically, that's all I am. Okay, every time an artifact has been sent down here, the governments have swooped in. If some government or some corporation has swooped in, taken it and tried turning it into a profit-making war machine of one form or another. So they just flat out don't cooperate in that fashion anymore.
Speaking of giving, we know people do get implanted. We know you're implanted. What happens? Yeah. What happens when we have an implant removed?
Well, number one, it stops broadcasting your information. Basically, they decide, it's a decision that is done by the research team only. Whichever team actually installed the tracker will determine whether or not it justifies putting another one back in or just letting the person go. What most people don't realize with a lot of these microcellular trackers or the physical ones that you have removed, they leave a residual relay system in.
What does that mean?
Essentially, removing the tracker doesn't exactly stop them from tracking you. Okay. Because the reality of it is, when they first install the tracker, okay, the first thing that tracker does is relay the subquantum and the subquantum cellular code to be able to follow that individual. From there on, the tracker is just essentially, it's a herring. It's a red herring. Which I realize is probably disconcerting for a lot of people. Okay, the only way you can disable those I know of is microcellular modification on the subquantum level, and I'm pretty certain there aren't too many people that understood that, much less do it.
Okay, sounds good. Let's move on to another one. Lots of good questions here. Super Duke from World Bigfoot Radio. We got 2 minutes left, Keith. Would you tell us about your Bigfoot encounter from when you were a child?
Roughly 4 years of age, Dad took us camping. Now, I had a tendency of, like every kid, wandering off. The problem was I'd get lost. So I got lost in the woods, no idea where I was. And I had I'll call him a little Bigfoot. I was 4 years old. He was twice my height. Right, so I'm guessing he was a teenager. And he grabbed me by the hand and led me to his parents' campsite, where they were just sitting and having a meal, which, by the way, was simply nuts and berries. So the mom and dad got me calmed down, because by this state I was already in tears. And by drawing pictures in the dirt, I was able to say, look, this is the only thing I knew, which was a square box, which really was what our camper was. Because our camper was a cube truck that Dad had converted. The father picked me up and carried me to the edge of the clearing where my camper was, sat me down, and then just put his hand against my back, and the heel of his hand hit my shoulder. And the fingers hit the small of my back. And he just gently pushed me forward to walk into the clearing, at which point I saw Mom and Dad. And needless to say, I went running to them. And all I told them, they asked what had happened. And I says, the big hairy man brought me home. I had no idea who they were at the time as far as that went. But I'll tell you, the people that tell you these are violent creatures, not even remotely close. Well, use the term remotely, maybe.
And on that note, Keith, I'm going to get you to hold on right there, because we are going to go to break here at the top of the hour. R Keith Andrews, the ET Connection, continues with your questions right after this. Stay tuned. The Woo Train is only halfway through its destination tonight. We got a lot more to go. It's going to be a lot of fun. All right, we are clear. Hey, there's number 32 in your program. Number 1 in your hearts from Halmstad, Sweden. Starting on defense, Jorgen Johansson. How united do we stand? All right. Our goalie hasn't shown up yet. Lars Janssen hasn't showed up yet. Damn it, Lars Janssen. Where are you?
I'm absolutely
The love
surprised
boat.
I'm guessing you're watching a game.
Me, no. I'm just announcing people who are here. Which reminds me, I'm gonna take a break. You want to hang out? Say hi to the peeps.
Yeah, I can stay here. I don't actually have the channel up, but that's okay.
Tell them a story about the alien at the conference.
Oh, okay. Yeah, the alien at the conference, at the Experiencers Speak conference that Dave was just alluding to. I went over to Portland, Maine, and a lot of people have been, a lot of people have said they deal with off-worlders all the time. And the lady I was with at the time, she points to this guy across the room and goes, "Who's the guy with the blue skin?" And I looked at her and I said, "What blue skin?" Now, understanding, I wear glasses. My eyes don't work well. So she goes, "The guy with the white hat." I said, "I don't know. I'll go over and check." So I wandered over to this chap, and I looked at him, and I said, and when I got within earshot, I quietly asked him, I says, "Are you by any chance Pleiadian?" And he looks at me and he goes, "Yes." So I shifted gears. It's like, welcome to Earth. Glad you could show up. You picked a beautiful place to arrive. Right. So I stuck my hand out to shake his hand. Right. And he did likewise, but it was a very slow stretch. He just very slowly reached out his hand and took mine. The funny part about it was his skin was a bluish gray color. But when I shook his hand, you could see the pigmentation move, much like you do with the old oil-filled stickers. So we got talking a bit, and understanding that years ago I'd run into a Martokian, in Dairy Queen in Kelowna here. And I'd mentioned this to many people, and they'd looked at me and gone, "What the heck is that?" When I mentioned to this chap, I said, "By the way, just in case you're interested, I ran into a Martokian a few years ago." Well, he got really, really excited. Got really excited. Very, very, and I'm talking about in a positive fashion. It's like, what was he doing here? Why was he here? So we had a little bit of a conversation back and forth. Okay. And, in all fairness, my problem right now is I forget what the Pleiadian's name was, but he was a hybrid. And when we asked him, "Can we possibly get a picture of you?" And he went, "Yeah, absolutely." But he says, "You can't." And bear in mind, he was speaking very slowly, like he was forcing the diction. Overly exaggerated syllables, over exaggerated facial expressions to form the right words. And he says, "Do not show it to anybody." Right? He says, "You can show people face to face, but do not send it anywhere." And I took a lot of flack over the next year because I wouldn't show it to anybody. I told him I would not show it until he actually gave me the definitive go-ahead. So, I did show it to a couple of people, and the first one I ended up showing it to, I actually sent Dave a copy of it when I got the permission a year later. But I had the conversation with him, and he turns around, and because you had to leave the conference hall, go through the lobby of the hotel to get outside. He never got out to the outside. He got halfway across the lobby, and he literally faded out, much like a transporter pulling him out of existence. There were guests that were not at the conference. They kept asking the clerk at the front desk who the blue guy was and where he came from. So I mean, this was there were, I think, if I recall correctly, 22 witnesses that I discussed things with. And turned out one of them had actually seen him show up. But there were 2 Pleiadians, 1 Nordic, and a human liaison.
Awesome. Love that story. Somewhere on my computer, I still have that photo.
So do I, but my computer's crashing, so I don't know right offhand where it is.
All right. We want to say thank you to Human Carl, Thomas, Kira, Neuro, Cat Chaser, Pam H, My Flock ×2, and Maddie for the super chats. Very much appreciate the love and support. Hey, if you're like Amy WC, who's heading to Vegas for the fan party May 19th through 21st, make sure you go to info@spacedoutradio.com and let us know. Here we go.
You're listening to Spaced Out Radio with Dave Scott. Follow Dave on Twitter @SpacedOutRadio and on Facebook, Spaced Out Radio Show.
Hour number 2 of Spaced Out Radio is now underway. My name is Dave Scott. Very much appreciate earning your listening ears wherever you are on this beautiful planet we call Earth. Hello to everyone listening in on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on Odyssey Radio, TalkStream Live, and KPNL. All of our archives are free. Join us at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. Zabuton. Zabuton is your password. Use it wisely, Space Travelers, as the Clam sets the password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. Our website is spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on Twitter @SpacedOutRadio, Instagram @SpacedOutRadioShow, and on TikTok @SpacedOutRadio. All right, we continue on with hour number 2 of the ET Connection. R Keith Andrews, experiencer extraordinaire, joins us answering your questions of all things strange and weird. We call him the conductor of the Woo train around here. Keith, welcome back.
And thank you so much for having me.
Get that frog out of your throat now?
Yeah, I think so.
All right, let's continue on with the audience questions. We got 24 of them. Let's see if we can get through them here. Corey is asking, are the midway creatures here?
I'm going to have to ask for clarification on who the midway creatures are, unless we're referring to the ones from Inner or Hollow Earth.
Well, if they are they here?
If that's who we're referring to, then many of them are, yes. Like for instance, what people call leprechauns, which are actually the Etuari, over the little people over in Ireland, are definitively here. You'll find Elfid all over the place. You'll even find the occasional true dwarf. Right. You will not, in all likelihood, find many of the, you won't, in all likelihood, ever see a Minotaur walking around on Earth, in public. Primarily because it scared the daylights out of people and somebody shoot him. There was, however, a young Cyclops that was discovered, that was found years ago. Cyclops being club feet, 3 fingers, horn in the middle of the head, and only one eye.
All right. Sounds good to me. Atlantis wants to know, is it possible to exist in the 4th dimension?
If you're a 4th dimensional creature, yes, but not for a 3rd dimensional entity.
So we're pretty much dead there.
Yeah, pretty much.
Well, isn't
You
that
also
nice?
can't get into a two-dimensional location.
How come?
Well, because kind of like you all of a sudden having yourself flattened, so there is no dimensional depth. There's no depth, not even a
Makes sense.
micrometer. So if you
All
think
right,
you can handle that kind of transfer, way to go.
Blue Cruz wants to know, do any of the aliens ETs give you their opinion or viewpoint regarding the content on Spaced Out Radio?
It's funny you should ask that, but we had that discussion before.
We have had that discussion before. How do you think Carl arrived?
I'm just waiting for him to return because he wasn't supposed to do that. Yeah.
Well, we're going on 5 years since Carl has been here.
Yeah.
We're going on 5 years. I don't know if he's ever coming back. I'm sure he will one day.
How long it took them to get him home. If they went by standard route, right? I mean, he ended up I know for an absolute certainty he got a strip torn off him a mile wide because he was not supposed to do that. See, all off-worlders do not necessarily follow the rules. But no, they absolutely. Spaced Out Radio is quite literally one of the shows that they actually keep an eye on.
That's how we rock. That's how we rock. Let's move on here. Dirt Robe wants to know, is her cat Steve an alien?
Well, this is one where she's not going to necessarily like the answer. I'm not going to tell her. I made a commitment to myself and an agreement with them that I would not reveal anybody's true nature, even if I did know for an absolute certainty. And thus far, this is why I won't do it. But I will warn you that felines are instinctively, number one, far more intelligent than people actually give them credit for. And number two, were never domesticated. They tolerate people. You know, I get it. I get a kick out of it because she referred to the cat as her cat, Steve. Steve doesn't see himself as her cat. Steve sees her as his servant.
Yep, most cats do. Most cats do. All right, let's go to Anila. What aliens live in Mount Shasta?
That depends on the day of the week. It's a transfer hub. In other words, people come and go. And what they do is they come down to Mount Shasta. And it's not just for the off-worlders. The ancient races will interact with them. But the reason I say it depends on the day of the week is it depends on which ship has come in and who it belonged to. But that I'm aware of in the consortium, I've heard estimates of 2,500 member races. And no, I have not dealt with all of them.
Just half.
No, over 100 at this point that I've been able to document.
Go to the Doug Shelby. He is asking, hey, R Keith, you have any plans to maybe publish for sale your notebooks?
That would be, am I planning on, after I die, somebody might get them. But I am in the process of transferring the information into reference manuals. Hence where Races of the Worlds and Races of the Worlds Volume 2 are coming from. But I really don't know what's going to happen with the notebooks. But in all fairness, that's going to be an archaeological dig in itself while people try and decipher them. Because some are written in sigil, some are written in mirror image, and some aren't using a recognized language at all, at least not recognized on Earth. But no, I haven't exactly decided what to do with them at this point.
All right, let's continue on. Let's go to another the Michael Leger is asking, Keith, what do aliens find the funniest of our human traits?
That they believe that they are actually, number one, alone, and that they believe that the most comical for all of them, really, is that the humans the more aggressive humans seem to think they're good at war. For them, and for the off-worlders, that really is one of the funniest situations. And the way they put it is this: if humans were good at war, humans wouldn't have a population rise.
True. Very true. All right, let's continue on here as we continue on with asking Keith our questions from you. Let's go to Amy. Do the pales, as in the pale grays, eat food or just fake it?
Oh, no, they eat it. Most of the races do consume food through a recognizable fashion. You know, recognizable as in humans can understand it. If my computer hadn't crashed, I'd have pulled it up, but it's not in this. It's not in volume 1, which I've got in print. There is a race that is, and I think it's a spare knocked in. Might be. There is a race that literally, they consume food very much like a clam does. They expel their stomach and then dissolve it. And then dissolve what they're eating. But they expel their stomach from their forearm.
Weird.
Yes, it sounds gross.
Very weird. Very, very weird. Let's go to Rhonda. What's the deal with people who are Rh negative with blood type? Are they more likely to have contact?
Massive misnomer. The people who are Rh negative have no more of a likelihood of being abducted than the ones with O positive or B negative or any of the others. It depends entirely on what the research party collecting them is looking for as to whether or not they're going after Rh or what have you. It's kind of like if humans are going after, when they're out doing their research on tigers, are you going after a Bengal or a Siberian? From their standpoint, that's what it boils down to. You don't grab somebody with Rh negative if you're trying to study the effects of something or the migratory impact of O negative. So it's a major misconception that humans came up with. The off-worlders didn't propagate it. They didn't do anything with it. They just didn't shut it down. As in the misunderstanding.
All right, let's continue on here. AZ Man is asking, what do they want with us? Why contact?
Because mankind it's in an intriguing and very rare situation. For the xenosocioeconomic and for the peoples that are studying the xenoeconomic evolution of the race, they are watching for how mankind handles this evolution. It's not often from that standpoint that off-worlders get to see it. So they're studying the whole 9 yards to see whether mankind this time will pull its act together and be able to get off the planet as a unified race, or whether it's going to bomb itself back to the Stone Age again. The other issue is that Earth itself, like this planet, as a matter of fact, this solar system, but the planet itself is the hub, is very akin to the Library of Alexandria as far as ancient Earth went to humans. the information carried in the subquantum level of the triple helix is absolutely mind-boggling as far as the amount of evolutionary data of the area is. These are the two primary reasons that they're watching and that they're collecting people. And of course, every one of the races has their own agenda for it, but none of them are looking at trying to conquer Earth. And there's a very good reason why they don't want to conquer Earth. Well, they may want to, but they won't. Because, see, they've been given an absolute order by the consortium. Number one, no impersonating gods anymore. So knock it off. Number two, if you try and take over Earth, we will go to your home planet, the seat of your home planet, the seat of your primary government, the seat of the planet with your secondary and tertiary governments, and blow all four of them out of existence. And then let them get back up and see if they can get back into the consortium. So the cost of attacking Earth is really a little extreme. So, I mean, some people say, well, that means, we're in a petri dish. No more so than ants are, as far as humans go. Or for that matter, the white willow tree. That humans are studying from a scientific standpoint to find out how it grows.
All right, let's continue on here, Keith. Let's get to Blue Cruise. Is there a decontamination process that you have to go through before the aliens, ETs, interact with you face to face?
In a manner of speaking, the answer is yes, but it's not like humans consider a decontamination process. You see, as soon as if you're getting taken physically up there, as soon as you enter their airlock, you're flooded with the decon. Problem solved. But it's not like you have to stand there for 20 minutes and wait. It happens on a literal blink of an eye. And that's actually a little long.
There you
but
go.
the people that are doing the interaction are trained extremely, they are trained extremely well in dealing with the fragile humans.
Are we really that fragile, though?
Well, let me put it this way. I watched a Strazazian, for instance, step on a gentleman by accident and crush him. Okay. I watched another one where they tried shaking the guy's arm and they shook it and then went to hand it back to him. So yeah, humans come apart pretty easily for many of these people.
But
humans are also easy to repair.
Dirt Road wants to know, my boyfriend wants to know how we get into inner Earth. Would like to see a Pegasus.
Well, that's the easy part. Sort of. North and South poles actually have an access point. The problem is they also have a transporter wormhole between the North and South pole. So if you go down that hole, right, you'll hit a blink. You'll hit a barrier, as it were, or more to the point, a jump point, that will shoot you right out the top of the planet. You'll never see the inner Earth. Unless you can find an access point to walk down. Okay. And bear in mind, we are talking several hundred miles of walking. And no, the idea of taking a drone down there to find them, not going to work. Because it's real easy when you're playing with what humans would consider true magic. It's real easy to short out electronics.
All right, let's continue on. Amy wants to know, what's your opinion on who built the moon?
Well, in all fairness, the spirits did. While Earth was getting built, They actually put the moon in place. But before anybody jumps on that, no, the moon is not hollow. No, as far as I've ever seen, nothing lives inside the moon, but there are catacombs underneath the surface of it. But it's got a solid core. But it was put there as a balance point to help stabilize the evolution of Earth. Because every other planet that had been built in the neighborhood by anybody had ended up burning out, had ended up running into hiccups. And yes, by the way, the moon is actually growing.
Terry would like to know, Keith, who is the Hat Man?
I have no idea. I've never actually heard the term before.
He's a cryptid.
Oh, okay.
Mr. Gray Owl, Keith, what species is your new hot number on the side? Don't lie to us.
Oh, number one, I won't lie. Number two, I only have one, as it were. And she's not alien.
I know you got a beautiful girlfriend. Yeah, you do.
I won't argue with you there.
Let's continue on. Let's go to, so we got about just under 3 minutes. The Michael Leger is asking, because these aliens are so advanced from us, can they be offended easily?
That depends on which ones. I would not recommend. There are some races you just don't insult, because if you do, they're going to hurt you. Okay. But on the whole, no, they are trained. The ones that you'll actually interact with spend literally years learning how to deal with humans, because humans are, quote unquote, ignorant, temperamental children. And there are more words that can be used, but none of them you actually get complimentary. Yeah, I mean, it's real easy. It is easy to upset some of them. Just tell a young dwarven child they're not allowed alcohol and see just how well that goes. They don't have the temperament to take no for an answer. And yes, in answer to that wonderful question, it's not just alcohol they drink, but 90% of their food is actually fermented. Which may explain why they're grumpy.
No kidding. Okay, let's go to Jules. How many races of others are living in our realm or adjacent realms they can interact from?
That I'm aware of, something in excess of 1,000. See, there are 2,500 races that I'm aware of, and that's only a rough estimate because that keeps changing. But not all of them are within striking distance of Earth. Which, in all fairness, is probably a good thing.
How come?
Well, if you take a look at it, some of these races come from high-gravity planets. And some of them are not overly concerned with rules, as it were. Because what they will do is they will, if they're hungry, they will eat whatever's available. And that doesn't necessarily mean people. You know, some races will modify an atmosphere to simply have a place to relax, regardless of the people on it. This is why Earth is patrolled so heavily in the area. Because there are new races coming into the area on a regular basis.
Very true. Keith, I'm going to get you to hold on right there. We got R Keith Andrews and the Woo Train 3/4 through their part. We got Keith for another 30 minutes here on Spaced Out Radio. When we return, we'll continue with your questions on Spaced Out Radio. Stay tuned. We're having a great night tonight. Hope you're enjoying it as well. Keith, we got a bunch of questions here. Do you want to just continue right now?
I can do it either way.
Well, let's hit up a few here. YJ wants to know, what are crop circles and what do they mean?
Depends on the crop circle, but on the whole, they are a sigil language designed for giving travelers directions, sometimes to jump points, sometimes just a simple, here's a rule for the area. Do not break this, or on punishment of extermination. And I don't mean punishment of death of the one person. I mean, they'll exterminate the race. Yes, their laws are a little bit rough, but ultimately that's what they are. And the answer to the question that is likely sitting out there, the humans that make fake crop circles, it's a cute exercise in artwork, but totally irrelevant because it doesn't hold the subquantum biomagnetic flux emanation that the off-worlders actually read. So they look at it going, that's a cute picture, well done or poorly done, depending on their artistic assessment of it, but it doesn't actually confuse anybody, except humans. But ultimately, that's what the purpose of them is for.
Very cool. Very cool. All right, let's continue on. The Doug Shelby is asking, is Atlantis just a legend or really a submerged former land?
Number one, it's not just a legend, but number two, it didn't submerge, it left. The ruins, if you take a look at the ruins of Bimini Island, okay, if you compare those fall lines to the fall lines of a shuttle tower when the shuttle launches, okay, you will see a lot of similarities. Now, yes, there were satellite communications, there were satellite cities that were set up, or villages, if you will, that when Atlantis itself vacated, were left stranded. Net result, some of the original Atlanteans had to merge with local culture. And net result, we have the Mayans and the Aztec having a real different take on the world.
People wondering where Filth is. He's at his art class tonight. Hi, Jessica. All right, continuing on. I just get down questions and more pop up. Nikki is asking, Keith, have you ever come across anyone else who has had implants in their aura?
Honestly, yes. It's not that unheard of. It's what it is it's rare that people recognize it. But that's when you're using photonic implants, photonic or gravitonic implants. It's just not many people recognize they've got them.
Okay, let's move on. Blue Cruz wants to know, have you heard of any abductees who have had their implant removed only to experience a temporary or permanent personality change?
I've heard of, yes. Usually but that's never been recorded by an off-worlder removing it. Usually what happens is a human does something really screwball when they're pulling it out and damage the cell structure of the human brain or the human nervous system, depending.
All right. We're going to hold off right there, Keith. We got about 15 more questions to go.
Okay, Doug.
Yeah. Thank you to Human Carl. Thomas, Kira, Nero, Cat Chaser, Pam, ×2, My Flock times 2, Maddie and Simon for the awesome super chats. Very much appreciate the love and support that you guys give us on a nightly basis. So thank you. And don't forget, info@spacedoutradio.com. That's info@spacedoutradio.com, where you guys can sign up now to get your tickets reserved for our second annual fan party in Las Vegas, May 19th through 21st. Here we go. We passed the halfway point of Spaced Out Radio tonight. Thank you so much for joining us. My name is Dave Scott. Very much appreciate earning your listening ears. Want to remind you that if you missed most of this show or others, check out our free archives by going to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website is spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the Newswire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on Twitter @Spaced Out Radio, Instagram @Spaced Out Radio Show, and on TikTok @Spaced Out Radio. Here we go, R Keith Andrews. We got him till the top of the night, and then we are going to continue with audience questions right here on the big show. Keith, thank you for joining us. We're going to start with Atlantis here. Are there species that exist in the fourth dimension?
Oh, absolutely. There absolutely are. They cannot come to the third dimension, or the fifth for that matter. There's an entire existence in all 12 dimensions, but they are not compatible with any of the others.
That's it, eh?
Well, I don't know how you're going to expand on that one, but they absolutely, the reality is I know of 12 different dimensions, all of which are absolutely 100% isolated until you evolve as an individual to the point where you can get back to the originating point of the prime originator and be able to jump from there to a different dimension. Of course, by then, you're no longer qualified as human, if you will, because you'll have evolved so far beyond human capacity.
Bigfoot Rob wants to know, does humanity have a future beyond Earth?
Yes, if they choose to unite. Humanity's already left Earth. Okay, humanity, contrary to what they're telling you, from what I've seen, humanity's already been to the moon. They've been to Mars. They've been to Venus. They've got a station set up on Io, and they have an active station. And they just recently, within the last 15, 20 years, set one up on out around Uranus. So mankind is already off the planet. It's just we haven't gone off en masse, primarily because people, I heard something the other day. China is trying to apparently claim the moon for itself, which is a novel idea. But then it's kind of like trying to colonize an already occupied planet, which is what people are talking about doing with Mars. It's already fully occupied. It's going to be hard to colonize.
Right. All right, let's go to AZ, man. What's the agenda ultimately?
Depends on who we're referring to. The overall Galactic Consortium is here to protect the planet, not mankind. Okay, so they are simply here. Their agenda is to make sure that mankind does not destroy the planet outright, which is why global nuclear war won't happen. Okay. And they are also here to make sure that no other race tries to invade the planet. Earth is protected, but it is not quarantined. But ultimately, that's their agenda, because they're simply gathering data from the data hub of this sector. And no, I cannot give you the dimensions of the sector because, frankly, I am not an astronomer on this planet.
All right, let's move on. Let's go to Super Duke. A recent survey finds 3 out of 4 alien races prefer spaced out radio. Okay, thank you, Super Duke. Appreciate that. Terry, Keith, how old are you on a soul level?
Okay, in a nutshell, if you picture, you know what the Big Bang is, what the Big Bang Theory explains. Now, I refer to that as a flip because of the way that I've come to understand it. Now, take a look at that. Now, take 1 billion of those, and I'm older than that. Yes, that makes me a little bit old. Try and wrap your name. No, I can't give you a number of years because I never have translated. I never have translated how long the universe has actually existed in Terran years.
All right. The guru wants to know, because we get a little bit of guru time tonight. Do aliens still probe people?
Absolutely. They just use different techniques. They don't have the same, what I want to call barbaric methods anymore. Like humans, they have evolved. But they are still taking, fluid samples, cell samples. They're still taking all kinds of samples that humans haven't even got a prayer of sorting out. Like, for instance, the subquantum biomagnetic flux modifications that take place due to emotional stress or emotional pleasure. Depends.
Okay, let's move on. Mr. Grail, is there any antiques market in outer space?
Absolutely. There's also a black market out there. Humans and off-worlders are very similar in that respect.
The Michael Lejeune wants to know, are there used spaceship lots and salespeople or aliens?
Well, bearing in mind people and aliens in that environment are the same thing, the answer is yes. And yes, you also have carjackers and that sort of thing that go hand in hand with them.
So there are Han Solos and Boba Fett's out there.
Quite honestly, there really are. When George Lucas started painting these different races, he had insight. He had to have had contact because a lot of those races are real. I just haven't documented all of them. And in all likelihood, I won't document all of them before I go. Unless I manage to live a little longer than I'm expecting to. But not that I'm planning.
Okay, let's move on here. Search and destroy. Which aliens have bases under the ocean, and can we discover them?
Well, the answer would be the sea elfid are actually living at the bottom of the Marianas Trench. Yeah, and there are other races down there with them. But can you discover them? With today's technology, you haven't got a prayer. You can't even get a probe down underneath the silt line. Not with today's technology. And the off-worlders won't give it to humans to get under there. Now, can the Alphid and do the sea Alphid actually collect up humans and take them down? Certainly. If you watch the show The Abyss, that blue liquid that the guy coughed up, that is their building. They built it. Humans didn't build that. They built it. Although whoever did the movie, quite frankly, had input as far as what it was capable of. But can we get to them? Not yet. Lord knows people have tried.
All right, let's move on here. Let's go to Love v. Love. Are other planetary species monogamous?
Some may mate for life. Laborians, for instance, when we talk about mating for life, they only live 35 of their own years. But you got to remember, every one of their days is 1,000 years. So when they mate for life, which is usually by the time they hit about 5 years old, 6 years old, their time, they are together for several million years in Terran terms. And you really don't want to try and take one of them out. And I don't mean date them. Because the Laborians are a feline race, and they are very combat proficient. But they are one of the few that is absolutely monogamous.
All right, let's continue on here, my friend. JCL, Ohio. Keith, who are the luminous blue 8-foot-tall beings so bright it's hard to discern facial features?
That would be an overly excited Aldebaran. See, the Aldebaranian, the more excited they get, the happier they are. And bear in mind, excitement may be a scientific discovery for them. Okay, the more intense their emotion, the brighter they shine. Makes it really difficult to spot it. The other one that is actually in all likelihood, come to think of it, and I can tell you what they are, but I can't remember their name offhand, and I certainly can't go looking for it. But there is a photonic race that are literally living light. And I'm sort of thinking that may well be who we're referring to.
And don't forget, many species, because their sexuality isn't about reproduction or fun, they do a lot of studies on human sexuality, trying to figure it out.
Absolutely.
All right.
And some of them in not so polite a fashion.
Let's continue on here. Ames is asking, Keith, did the Anunnaki use Bigfoot to mine in early times?
No. The Anunnaki, if they really wanted to mine, would have done it themselves with a lot less effort. Did they know of the Bigfoot? Certainly, but they left them alone. I mean, we got to remember, Bigfoot is only 7 to 8 feet tall. The adults. Okay. The Anunnaki range 25 to 30. There's not much point in getting an ant to dig your garden.
All right, let's do it. Let's go to Love v. Love for a pair of questions. Is love a human thing solely?
No. It's a soul thing. And this is why you can have different species fall in love with each other. Because it's got nothing to do with the corporeal body. It's just humans have this brilliant idea that is theirs. Love has existed way, way, way before mankind even became a rough thought.
Second question. What do the Greys, the taller ones, think of Earth girls?
Well, don't take this the wrong way. So I hope whoever Love be Love doesn't take this as an insult. They consider them extremely immature, and I'm talking about the brightest of the Earth girls. Extremely immature, short-sighted, and slow-witted. As far as appearance goes, they got way too much hair. And their eyes aren't big enough, and there's a whole lot of other things that are counterproductive. They don't see them in all fairness. It's not a question of looking down on them. It's just that they are literally, they just look at the human race as another race that just can't keep up with them. I mean, in all fairness, the taller grays are just about as arrogant as the Drays. Yeah, I know that wasn't a very polite way to put it, but
let's go to Pam. Is it true that scientists have found that gravity is a wave of pressure?
It is. They're just reading it backwards. They're reading gravity as a pulling force. Gravity isn't a pulling force. It's a pushing one. And once they come to the conclusion that that's the reality behind it, they'll be able to get anti-gravity fields working properly. And with a lot less energy I'm drawing a total blank on the word. A lot less use of energy in order to make expenditure, there we go, than what they currently require. But humans are correct in the fact that the particle that is gravity is the graviton. Or more to the point, it's a small part of the graviton.
James wants to know, Keith, have you ever heard of Archon beings and what they might be?
And what they may be? Yeah. Archons are, when they are born, they are microscopic. They then will move from one host to another as they outgrow the host. And eventually will leave Earth because at their full size, once they are full adults, they are larger than planets. Their food source becomes Coboran. Okay. And in answer to that question, the Coboran is the actual race that is what some planets are. Not every planet is alive.
All right. Let's go to the Mac Geek. Are there any extraterrestrials who work among humans that get normal jobs that go undetected?
Absolutely. You will find there are a number of different races that can pull that off. But, I like the way you put it as normal jobs, because none of them will permit themselves to be promoted into a position of power, whether we're talking CO or political entourage or anything along that line. They're allowed to work amongst humans. They're allowed to live amongst humans. They are not allowed to take a dominant control of what's going on. Yes, they can run businesses. Okay, but what they can't do is move for global dominance.
Let's continue. Let's go to Road Flare. Have aliens contacted us through ham radio?
Yes. Some of the truckers out there have a heyday with it because they're trying to figure out who's on the channel. Because it's not like the ham radio. I mean, the ham radio is easy to connect with. It just requires a slightly different wavelength. And besides that, it's something that humans don't track as well as they'd like you to think.
All right, let's continue on. Little Timmy Senor wants to know, does ET extract DMT from human brains and why?
I'm going to ask him what's going to sound like a really obtuse question. But what's DMT?
DMT, a powerful hallucinogenic drug found in several plants that can be smoked, snorted, or mixed with ayahuasca.
The answer would be for the exact reason that it just stated. Not necessarily for their own use. But it's always fun if you're studying humans, get them wired, and then see how they come down. So yes, with that kind of understanding, what you're looking at is, you know the show Paul?
Yeah.
Yeah. Not entirely inaccurate. Although Paul, as far as the entity goes, is a style, from my understanding, is a stylized gray.
Let's continue on. Philip Blair wants to know about how many other solar systems have humans or humanoid life.
I have no way of giving you even a rough guesstimation, but I will tell you the solar system is not the only one. You know, if you think about it, we are dealing with literally, in all likelihood, millions. Man is not as alone as mankind has led itself to believe.
Okay, let's continue. Amy wants to know the mound building creatures in the USA or cultures in the USA. What's your thoughts on this?
Usually it's because they ran into off-worlders or the remnants of an ancient culture and saw them as something a whole lot more advanced. And that result built the culture around it. The other thing that goes hand in hand with that, by the way, is the hieroglyphs, the Egyptian hieroglyphs and the ones down in Mexico they're not just hieroglyphic language. There is an electromagnetic field. Well, more to the point, it's a subquantum electromagnetic field that is also readable, very much like a computer chip. And yes, by extrapolation, that energy can be eventually, by humans, will be able to be tapped into.
All right, let's continue on. D. Swagger, who are the tall purple people?
Them, I honestly don't know, but I'm going to have to find out a name, obviously. I know who you're talking about, and I'm thinking they're probably an offshoot of the Aldebarans. They may just simply be another race of the Aldebaran people.
Philip wants to know, are there any alien races out there who appreciate knock-knock jokes? Do any laugh like us?
In all fairness, the ones that know it, that do it the best are both your Gnomish and your Dwarvish peoples. Of course, they're a little odd. And do they laugh like you? Well, pretty much every race laughs like humans, but...
Final question for you from Devin the Cold One. Do these species have any types of allergies?
Some do, yes. And some of the allergies they have, I literally saw one that was allergic, and I don't know what they were allergic to. What I do know is they isolated him as soon as he had the allergic reaction, because he detonated. As in, humans get an allergic reaction, they sneeze. This guy, as soon as he started having the allergic reaction, they rushed him into an isolation chamber, and then went in and cleaned up the walls later.
Somebody's got to do it. Keith, tell everybody where they can find your books and your YouTube
That's the
channel.
easy part. rkeithandrews.com. You'll find the books themselves. As far as ordering them, you contact me at innervoiceenterprises@yahoo.ca, or I either take indirect deposit, or I work with PayPal. That's the easiest way to find them.
Absolutely. R. Keith, thank you, buddy, for doing us a great favor and rejoining us in 2023 for the ET Connection. It's been a lot of fun.
It has been, and thanks so much for having me.
Of course, my man. We'll see you next month. Make sure you book your Vegas trip. Coming up
next. As soon as I can talk to them, I'll get it sorted around.
Perfect. Coming up next, we're going to head to the swamp. Then little Timmy Senor is here. We'll We'll be back with more Spaced Out Radio. There we go. We are done. Good job, Keith.
Perfect. Thank you so much. And yeah, as soon as I've got it booked, I will just simply contact you and go, we're good to go.
Yeah, just send me a text. All right.
Okie doke.
All right, buddy. We'll talk soon, okay?
Absolutely. You take care.
All right, man. See you, buddy. Much
Yeah.
love. Bye. Love me some R Keith Andrews. Love him. Love him. All right. None of you go anywhere. I will be right back. Because we got an hour to go. And then it's time for our resident Timbit to join us. So I'll be right back, guys. Hi, Applesauce. Let us continue here. It's always a fun time with R Keith, isn't it? Always a fun time. this. All right. If you are going to Vegas for our event, our second annual fan party, or you want to join us at the Golden Nugget Casino, send your information to info@spacedoutradio.com. info@spacedoutradio.com. We need to get a list because we need to know how many people are coming. You got like 5 months, 4.5, somewhere around there, whatever the total is. By the way, it'll also be Dave's 50th birthday that week. So we got 2 things to celebrate. Hi, Coral. How are you? And I would love to see you all there. We got 2 packages. One regular package for $60. VIP, which comes with a swag bag and a special VIP party for $100. And we got some great guests lined up for you. Better than any conference you will attend, and we are much cheaper. Much cheaper. So you have to go at info@spacedoutradio.com. info@spacedoutradio.com. Let us know how many tickets you need, and we will get you there. Thank you to our super chatters, Human Carl, Thomas, Kira, Neuro, Cat Chaser, Pam H ×2, My Flock ×2, Maddie, and Simon. We're going to get going with the Swamp Dweller. Who's ready to go to the swamp with me? Let's do this thing in 3 seconds.
Would you like to connect with us? Head to spacedoutradio.com for all your latest show info. Now, back to Dave Scott and SOR.
Third and final hour of Spaced Out Radio is now underway. Good to have you with us. My name is Dave Scott. Very much appreciate earning your listening ears wherever you are on this beautiful planet we call Earth. Hello to everyone listening in on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on Odyssey Radio, TalkStream Live, and KPNL. All of our archives are free. Join us at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. What do you got for us, Clam? Zabaton. Zabaton is your password. Use it wisely, Space Travelers, as the Clam sets the password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. Our website is spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the Newswire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on TikTok at Spaced Out Radio. It is time once again where we head to the swamp. Our resident swamp dweller takes us on another spooky journey.
Hi, Spaced Out Radio listeners. This is Swamp Dweller. It's time for your nightly dose of spookiness on the show. If you have an interesting encounter or a spooky story that you would like to share, be sure to submit them in at swampdweller.net. You can also find our YouTube channel at youtube.com/swampdwellerreads. Now, let's chill out, relax, and together, let's enter the swamp. My name is Mickey. I have no other explanation for this story, so I thought I'd share it here. I just turned 16 years old and decided on my birthday to stay and visit my sister, who lives in Cleveland, which is about an hour's drive away from my hometown. I had been there for a few days already, and since my birthday is on the 23rd of June, the 4th of July is right around the corner. I had been upstairs in the attic for a few days sleeping, playing GTA, and doing some other things to keep me occupied because I had nothing else to do since I couldn't drive yet and my sister was at work most of the time. One night, my sister Morgan and her boyfriend Nate were sitting downstairs in the living room watching TV when Nate asked if we wanted to go to this secluded park and light some fireworks off. I immediately said sure because I had nothing better to do and I knew some of the parks were secluded from the big city from Cleveland. So, after about an hour of persuading Morgan to go, we all jump into his car. It's about 75 degrees out and it's about 1:30 a.m. It's a relatively nice night. We were driving for about 15 minutes when we finally reached this park. We are going down this giant hill when it suddenly gets exceptionally dark. There's no light pollution and no other artificial light, just what you can see from the headlights. We're driving for 10 minutes when I see a deer on the side of the road, which is typical for a wooded park, right? I look out my window and for a brief second, I see what looks like a giant deer face with glowing yellow eyes jerk behind this tiny tree and disappear entirely. I don't usually get freaked out by deer. Something about how fast it moved and how it just disappeared made me feel unsettled. It just looked wrong, and I'm pretty sure deer's eyes shouldn't be glowing that way. We finally arrive at a parking lot facing a giant field and the other side being woods. I still had a very unsettling feeling that I could not shake off. When we got out of the car, I noticed it had gotten cold outside, which doesn't make sense because it was just warmer out a minute ago. I felt a noticeable chill. I was leaning on the car and my sister's boyfriend went to set up his firework. I still felt we needed to leave, but I couldn't shake off this feeling, so I told my sister that we should hurry up and go because I felt weird. My sister, stubborn, just said to me that I have too much superstition and need to chill out. I watched the fireworks go off and we all looked at the stars for a little bit. After getting in the car, we sat for a bit when I heard branches breaking and heavy footsteps. The feeling I had before worsened, so I told my sister and boyfriend we really had to get home. I noticed off in the tree line that there looked to be a deer, but there was something off about this deer. From what I could tell from the silhouette, it was standing on its hind legs, just staring at us, seemingly trying to hide behind a tree. While doing so, we eventually started driving off. Once we all got home, I still felt off about what I saw. I couldn't shake that feeling either. There was no way a deer had a big face like that, and there was no way it could stand on its hind legs just staring at people for such a long time. The feeling I got was not expected. Afterward, I went upstairs to my attic room where my sister and I watched TV. I like to leave my windows open because the breeze from the lake feels good at night. I also like listening to the traffic and crickets, and occasionally, you can hear the birds early in the morning. It was about 3:30 to 4 when my sister and I were sitting there, and I told her what I saw. She shook it off and told me I had probably just seen a deer. Then I noticed outside that I didn't hear anything. It was just quiet. That isn't normal at all for Cleveland, and not the peaceful quiet, the eerie type of quiet. Then I heard a very loud whistling coming from different parts of the neighborhood. I thought there was no way a human would be whistling that loud. It just emanated from so far but never lost its volume, let alone it was coming from all different directions at the same time. I closed the curtains and asked my sister if she heard it, and she replied with, "What are you talking about? I don't hear anything." Then the unsettling feeling set in again, and my stomach sank. I didn't sleep a wink that night. I still don't know what I saw that day, nor what was whistling, but I'm hoping that I never have to see it again or hear it again.
And that's why we love the Swamp Dweller around here, as we play him every Monday through Friday night here on Spaced Out Radio to kick off hour number 3. If you want more Swampy for yourself, head over to his YouTube channel, youtube.com/Swamp Dweller Reads. Literally has thousands of stories just like that, free for you to listen to. From the swamp to the stars, we now head to the UFO report. Little Timmy Senor is here. We call him the Timbit. Let's rock and roll.
Nobody's gonna know.
They're gonna know.
All right, little Timmy Senor. It's always good to have you here, my friend. How pumped up are you for our Vegas trip, man? I literally think about this every day. I am so pumped. I'm like ready to go like right now.
Yeah.
Right now.
Yeah, I can tell you are. You talk about it a lot and offline as well. So the audience knows we talk about it all the time. Yeah, it's going to be a blast. I mean, you and I had a great time and it was just us. So having a bunch of friends will be amazing. I can't wait.
Amazing.
But yeah, definitely. So how's things for you?
You know what? It's okay. It's quite okay. According to my health app, I'm supposed to be going to bed right now, but I'm still like two hours away.
Are you growing the beard back?
I am growing the beard back.
Your audience.
It's enough of this disgusting look at my face every day.
I think it looks great.
Horrible.
You look great. Do whatever you like. Do what you like.
No.
It was
By the way, just for our listeners who are wondering what the password is for, the answer is exactly. Exactly.
So cryptic. Of course.
It is.
You're
It is.
hilarious. Go to the website
It
and
is.
find out. I
Go to
bet
the
you there's some
website.
answers on your website. I'm betting.
No, literally. Until we get the Space Travelers Club going,
Mm-hmm.
literally, what's the password for? Exactly. It's a good riddle.
Love
It's
that.
a good riddle.
Love that.
Yeah.
The UFO mystery is a riddle in itself. So why not have a club that imitates UFOs? A
Right?
mystery within an enigma wrapped up in a riddle.
Let's do it. Let's
All
do it. Hey, speaking of enigmas, let's head over to Putinville. All right. Because, number 2 is getting shellacked by number 22 in the world,
Indeed.
which I absolutely love and adore. Thank you. I'm Ukrainian. What am I supposed to say? And anyways, but apparently Russian anti-aircraft missiles have allegedly downed a UFO. I'm going to tell you right now, I am not buying this whatsoever. I really am not. But what do you think? What's the story, bud?
I think that highlighting alleged in this news title is absolutely correct. But I was actually hoping more to get past whether this was a legitimate UFO sighting or not, and get into the how and whys of this specifically being called a quote unquote UFO. And why was this used to potentially explain away some of what Russia may be seeing over their skies? Before we even dig into the article itself, let's consider this potentially propaganda of some sort. And so why would they use quote unquote UFO in the title?
Well, you know what? Russia has been known to always be propagandists with their media. Okay, going back to their days of communism and that Bolshevik revolution. Gosh darn it. All right, but look, they've got their hands full over in the Ukraine. They do. They bit off more than they could chew because we are some tough farm boys and girls back there. All right. And I'm not going to get political with this or anything like that. But I look at it this way. To me, it seems like a distraction. It seems like a distraction because the reality is they are losing a lot of support in their own country. Okay, they expected this to be over in days. It's now months that this war has been going on.
Mm-hmm.
Putin has never been less popular than he is now. Why not throw something different in there? I mean, let's face it. Like I said, you're the number 2 military in the world, and you are looking like a bunch of amateurs compared to a bunch of people who are just picking up machine guns for the first time. This is like, Russia versus Afghanistan all over again. And, and they, in my opinion, they need to save some face. They need to figure out something to change the direction. And why not go with UFOs? Look, it's not that but let's be clear here, Tim. We also have to verify the fact that Russia has a long history with UFOs too. They have had crash retrievals, allegedly. They've had, allegedly, their own Roswell in Siberia. They've had there are a number of great investigators. Cosmonauts have filmed UFOs. Remember, a couple of years ago, there was a Russian cosmonaut who filmed the boomerang that looked like it was like a shape of a check mark up from the International Space Station, and he put it out on Instagram. I mean, they are seeing UFOs just as much as we are. And I think that when it comes to shooting something down, though, to me, smells like propaganda.
Right. And I think even more, what I was very interested in was the potential that this meant that Russia is absolutely reading the headlines and know that there was a story released internationally, now we know, about Ukrainian having some phantom UFOs and UAPs, quote unquote, over their country. And Avi Loeb even went so far as to talk about it. And
Well, you know what? Can I?
please,
First off, I forgot to tell you. As of last night's Dave 101, we have banned UAP from this show.
cool. So I won't quote anything.
Oh, you can say it. I'm just teasing.
I love
right
it.
now.
No, you're so right. We need to do that.
We have
Bringing
actually
back
banned.
UFO is great.
You know what? We've on this show, like a guest can say it. Okay, a guest can say it because it's brought into the vocabulary now. But for us here at the show, we are no longer talking UAP.
Cool.
Okay, we're bringing it back, and
I will
no more disclosure.
Erase it. Oh, I like that.
No more disclosure. We're in a confirmation movement.
Cool.
But you bring up a good point though, because I didn't even think about that, my friend, about the idea that, just a month ago, the Ukrainian Defense Forces was releasing the videos that they have captured of anomalous objects, UFOs, over the battlefield. But you know what? Why are we surprised over this? Numerous American soldiers have witnessed and talked about seeing UFOs in World War I, World War II, Korea, Vietnam, all of the Gulf Wars. Okay, a good buddy of mine, Eric Cooper from Forest Moon Paranormal, when he was stationed during the first Gulf War in Afghanistan, or in Kuwait at that time, getting ready to roll into Afghanistan, they watched a black triangle hover over top of them before taking off towards the battlefield. Now, could that have been American? Could it have been something else? Don't know. All he remembers is his commanding officer saying, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. Okay. So this is nothing new, Tim. We could believe that there is UFOs, but in typical, North Korean type fashion where the leader shoots 18 on an 18-hole golf course the first time he plays and invented the hamburger, we can't believe everything that's coming out of there. We really can't.
Right.
Now, I believe they saw a UFO. Don't get me wrong. I believe they saw a UFO, but shooting it down, not buying it. Not buying it.
And let's also consider that a lot of civilian devices are now coming into play during wartime that normally wouldn't, because there's no one to really execute any kind of legislation, or no one's going to come after you if you're flying a drone in your backyard during wartime, right? There's no one going to come after you. So let's also consider there are a lot of homemade potentially and a lot of civilian devices that are in the air that normally wouldn't be up there. And secret things that potentially are being tested on our military warfields. So it's no surprise to see throughout history a lot of interesting UFOs, and we're going to continue to see them. But I think that it is interesting to see that now UFO in particular is being used as propaganda, potentially to comfort the people of that country that it's not our enemy, it's aliens.
Well, but here's the other thing too, though, my friend. When this sighting happened, if you're going to announce that you have shot down a UFO, if the Kremlin is going to make this announcement, where's the video? Where's the craft?
Yeah.
Where's the craft? Where's the beings? Okay. I know that if I'm doing this and I'm going to make a major announcement that my military has just shot down a UFO, here's the video, people. Here's the crash retrieval. here's the beings.
Yeah.
Kind of makes sense, doesn't it?
Yeah, it wouldn't float in the U.S. Let's just lay that down. There's no way. There would be a massive outcry for information, more information. So massively skeptical. The article is interesting, but it's coming from radaronline.com, and people can go check it out. But it is one of those things that I found that the story itself was more interesting than the information within the story, if that makes any sense. Just the fact that there was this release,
I know,
spoke volumes.
It is entertaining. we can't shake that, man.
Yeah,
it is entertaining.
I mean, why
Okay.
do you personally think they used specifically UFO, not you and the buzzword that they're using
UAP?
now, that they use
You can
in the
use.
Ukrainian
You're a guest.
situation?
You're a guest. You're allowed to use UAP.
So quote
I
unquote
cannot as a
UAP
host.
in the Ukrainian situation.
Deflection. I still think it's deflection.
Mhm.
Dude, they are getting their butts handed to them. The one thing that I give a lot of credit for is if you go on Twitter or you go on any social media, all right, and you get the videos from the front lines of what's going on, these poor Russian soldiers, I actually feel bad for them. Okay, I feel bad for them. And they are in an unpopular war that the population does not want to be in. Okay, they're arresting civilians over there in order to, keep the cause up and going. Okay,
Yeah.
they're demoralized. Their aircraft are getting shot out of the sky quicker than a 4th of July fireworks show.
And
By
so,
what? A
do you
bunch of
think-
guerrilla warfare?
So do you think that Russia's history with UFO is why they went directly to UFO for their headline? Because they've always kind of had a soft disclosure, quote unquote, to buzzwords we
No.
hate.
I think they needed to change the angle on the stories. Right? Get the mind off of their military, their equipment getting absolutely lanced like a zit.
But couldn't
Okay.
even drone have been easier than UFO in this situation? Like, wouldn't that have been an
Sure.
acceptable and less threatening thing than, potential rockets and things?
Sure.
Why do you think they selected UFO? I keep circling back to that. Is it because
Well,
historically
it's
they've had that in their headlines?
No, I would say it's propaganda. Get the people's minds off of what is happening in the West.
So something big. It had to be pretty big. Bigger
Had to be
than
big.
drone. Okay.
Had to be big.
Hmm.
Had to be big.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I'm not saying that it didn't happen. I'm saying I have a hard time. When you make an announcement like that as a government, you better show us proof. Now, I know I'm the what is proof kind of guy, but when a world power, there's 3 world powers on this planet, all right? And when one of those 3 comes out and says, we've shot down a UFO, you best be prepared to show us the juice. And we got no juice, Tim. We got an empty cup.
Yeah. And there's not going to be any. Yeah. I 100% agree with you there.
I want it to be real. Okay. But on the flip side, ladies and gentlemen, should we really be shooting down these things? I don't think so. I don't think that's a good idea. Because remember, people, if they have the technology to get here from wherever in the solar system, they probably have bigger toys than we do. And they're not worried about finding stealth fighters. And they're not worried about hypersonic missiles. And they're not worried about their own defense. When we return with little Timmy Senor on the UFO report, Oregon witnesses talk about UFOs that left behind some evidence and medical healings by aliens. Oh, Tim's deep into the bag of woo tonight on the UFO Report. That is fun. That is fun. And just for the record, people, just for the record, I am Ukrainian by heritage. My great-grandfather had to flee the country at 15, or he would have been killed like his brother by the Bolshevik Revolution because they were killing all the young men who were strong enough to fight in the Ukraine. So I don't have a lot of sympathy. And probably if I was single and about 30 years younger, I'd be stupid enough to go over there to help out my relatives. But at pushing 50 and really bad ACLs in my knees, yeah, no. It's just the way it is. Hey, by the way, little Timmy Senor, I gotta ask you. Are you and Terry bringing down the motorhome for Vegas for the night watch?
We were running some ideas around the clock with each other. I mean, it's possible. We can talk about it. Yeah. I mean, that thing is yeah. It'd be
That thing's
cool.
a beast.
It'd be really great to bring it.
You wouldn't be 4x4ing in the Uinta Basin, though.
Yeah. No, I learned my lesson. Yeah, no, we have thought about bringing the rig. I think initially we thought we would. So yeah, very, very, very possibly. So we'll at least be bringing our mobile stuff. We've got a kit that we have that's mobile, and so we'll definitely have the mobile rig.
Yeah,
if not the full.
Yeah, Melinda Leslie and I believe Misha Johnson are going to join you guys too.
Yeah, great.
And so after the live show in Vegas, all right, you all can, by donation, even a handshake, head out to the desert with Tim, Terry, Melinda, and Misha, and go sky watching, looking for UFOs over the Nevada desert. Is there any other place to really do that? I mean, that's besides Sedona, Arizona, just outside of Vegas would be perfect.
Yeah.
By the way, I had our friend called me the other day.
I was just gonna say, remember where he pointed to? That's where we should go.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Our friend called me the other day, and he stated that he is very much looking forward to the fan party.
That's great.
Even though he won't be in he won't be in attendance. He won't be in attendance. Okay, but he'll be around. That's what I was told.
That's exciting.
Okay. And he's like starting to have a little bit of fun with this. He thought you were mad at him. So you better reach out and say hello. I'm like, Tim, mad at somebody? I said, that's a first.
Yeah. No, I've been so busy. I haven't been social. I'm not a social media person also. So that's a big thing. A lot of people get chapped because they don't hear from me for whatever, but it's literally because my head is down. If you don't see me, that means I'm doing something either with my family or working. So I don't come up for air. I'm rarely on social media, maybe for 5 minutes a day. And I only respond to, honestly, I respond eventually to everybody, but new people I respond to first. I don't know why that is, but I just do. So
I got to respond to Nikki right now. Oh, she goes, Dave in the chat room. Oh, Nikki, what's up? By the way, while we're waiting here, big thank you to Molly, Simon, Pam ×2, My Flock ×2, Maddie, Carl, Thomas, Kira, Neuro, and Cat Chaser for the super chats. Very much appreciate the love and support. And sometimes I hate having oily skin. As gross as that sounds.
No, you need that. That keeps you nice and healthy, buddy.
I know, but when it gets in your eyes and you get that stinging, burning feeling,
forget about it. It's why I wear a wristband.
Forget about it. Forget about it.
Yeah.
Forget about it.
You get it.
All right, buddy. We got like 5 seconds here. Here we go. We rounded third. We're heading for home tonight on Spaced Out Radio. My name is Dave Scott. Very much appreciate earning your listening ears. I want to remind you that if you missed most of this show or others, check out our free archives by going to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. Website is spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on TikTok at Spaced Out Radio. Here we go again. Little Timmy Senor, our resident Timbit, back for the UFO report. And we're heading to his home state of Oregon, where apparently there's some debris left by some UFOs. What's going on here?
Yeah, super exciting to hear that an Oregon witness just up here close to me in Lapine reported unusual activity at his home after discovering a 30-foot wide circle-shaped indentation in the snow at about 4:30 a.m. on December 31st. So according to his testimony that he left at the Mutual UFO Network, the witness woke up for work at about 4 a.m. and saw his usually sleepy dog was fussing at his back door. And he assumed the dog needed to go outside, even though she usually sleeps much longer. So the dog quickly bolted to the back and the back part of the roughly 2-acre property there. And the witness put on his shoes and stepped up outside right as the sky was lighting up around him. And he thought, oh no, maybe a power line is down, as it's been pretty rough winter out here. And so the reporting witness stated, and I quote, "I walked around my house and I saw what is pictured with 0 footprints present except my own. And what the witness saw was snow on the ground, but an area roughly 30 feet wide in a circle shape made up of packed ice with fluffy powder snow all along the edges." And in his quote, he said, "My dog was going ballistic all around the area. So I snapped a few pictures and I got the dog inside." The witness could not understand what might have created the impact area. Then once at work at 8 a.m., he received a phone call from his wife. And she, quote, she couldn't sleep all night and was feeling restless. And she had a strange odor on her hands that she claimed was a chemical odor that she couldn't get the smell out of. And so the witness has no explanation and is interested in an investigator from MUFON coming out to review the case. And so the witness provided additional photos, and one in particular in the filed report really does depict what is described in that circular packed ice area. Very interestingly, there was also some recent coverage of a 2.5 hours after this case occurred, about 30 miles northeast of Lapine, and a witness in Bend, Oregon, filed a case report, and they had witnessed with video, orb-shaped object that just hovered above the tree line. So perhaps a corroborating witness here out in Oregon. And there have been a number of almost 14 sightings since the 22nd of December, along with 11 cases filed recently, along with some along the California line around the same time. So looks like there's some corroborating evidence to this case in particular. And historically, Lapine has been a UFO hotspot. So it's actually not surprising to see this case. Really good one, super close to home for me. I might have to go out and check it out myself. Dave, what are your thoughts?
Well, the first thing I'm pointing my finger and laughing at you because I know you're out there looking in Oregon and you finally pack it up for the winter because you're one of those people who likes warmth. and here's some guy just hanging on out, and all of a sudden he's getting debris coming out. I love it. I bet you're jealous.
Well, I'm itching to find out if MUFON sent a star team, which I'm sure they probably did not, because trace evidence is so important it can be washed away. And so, time is ticking on this case. I wouldn't mind getting involved myself. But yeah, this is what it's all about.
Absolutely. And we've seen these metamaterials dropped, like it happened in a number of cases, including in Falcon Lake here in Canada, when Stefan Mikulik got burnt by the craft, where there was allegedly little metal droppings from this craft all along the riverbed. This isn't the first time we've heard about this. And this is where we get a lot of the metamaterials from.
Well, the beauty of this case in particular is that this involves ice and snow, and that potentially could hold eDNA. That's the sort of thing that could be, given some data, we could do some research behind that. So getting trace evidence, like I said, is sometimes pivotal to something like this to prove it out, even with multiple witnesses like this.
I agree.
And for that matter, his wife's hands, she had a chemical odor on her hands. Perhaps there's some way to get some detection off of that too.
Well, you hope so. I mean, look, it's very rare that we get any type of evidence from these. I mean, hey, people may report thousands of UFOs in the sky above throughout the year, but very rarely do you get any sort of physical evidence. And if there is, I'm wondering if MUFON got their hands on it, or at least a snippet of it. I do worry about MUFON's intentions right now, because they seem to want to play the government game with everything instead of being really the voice of the people. So I am concerned about that. But, it'd be, Tim, I think you got to track this down for us. And I think you got to kind of figure out, what you want, or if you can get a piece of that metamaterial.
Right. Well, I work with Richard Lang from MUFON. He was the original creator of the STAR team. So if anyone did have boots on the ground, he would be the guy to know that would know. So I could easily find out and potentially, go samples, hand them off to him, get MUFON involved along with anyone independent. Definitely. I mean, that's exactly what I'm here for.
Yeah. And we need more of that. Yeah. We need more of that. That's a great report, my friend.
Thanks.
Great report.
Yeah, I was stoked to see it.
Let's get to the final one tonight that you have for us. And this one's a little weird because we're getting into healings by aliens and UFOs. What's this all about?
Yeah, so one of the most intriguing findings that are emerging from the work is that many medical healings and attempts to heal on the part of the visitors is in about 1/2 of the cases that are being involved with some of the contacts that we are seeing. And so at other times, there may be reoccurring conditions where they're interacted with multiple times and healed over time. And some abductees have experienced or witnessed healing conditions ranging from minor wounds to pneumonia, childhood leukemia, and even in one case reported an overcoming of muscular atrophy in a leg relating to polymyositis. And so this was all, work that was done by Dr. John Mack and people like him, who are also working on the psychiatry side of things. They would also review a lot of these cases. Not all of them are historical, however, some of them are very recent. And so medical UFO healing can be defined as a psychological improvement as a result of an encounter with a non-human intelligence. And these types of cases have appeared regularly since the modern age of UFOs and continue to be reported on today. And so while most major researchers have uncovered cases of healings due to their fantastic nature, such events have not received much attention. So Bud Hopkins also got in on this historically, and he brought the question of whether we hear about the healing cases. We do sometimes, but very rarely they do turn up. But in extreme and rare cases, the aliens will actually undertake a cure of some ailment for troubling an abductee that they may find once they are abducted. And so they'll have a repeated performance where they are met with multiple times to get the complete healing to go. And so they're calling it kind of treatments. And researcher Preston Dennett released his book called UFO Healings, where he presented more than 100 cases showing beyond any reasonable doubt that the veracity of these healing cases are in existence. And so it may be kind of on the outreaches of some of the cases, although it's starting to become more prevalent. There are plenty of case studies that people can dig into, and some of them actually do have medical records that can be tracked down and followed. And so, Dave, it's pretty interesting. It is a little bit woo for some people, but it may be an absolute reality as part of the abductee experience that is a positive one, And so I think it's something that should be highlighted far more.
I'll tell you what I like about this story. And I know you're going to ask me my opinion anyways.
Yeah.
I think it paints extraterrestrials in a really different light. I think people get weirded out when they think of ETs that are potentially here to help humanity. We're not ready for that because of the way over the last 30 years that Hollywood is really portrayed in its dramatic sci-fi films as extraterrestrials being bad for the planet, as extraterrestrials coming here to wipe out humanity, coming here to enslave us or use us as food or whatever it may be. So, even going to abductions with anal probing and everything that goes along with the abduction side. And I think we're so ingrained in that thought that we do forget that out of the amount of people on this planet, not every human is bad. In fact, it's a very small percentage of humans that are actually, rotten eggs and need to be thrown out. The majority of us are damn good people. And I could say the same thing because we don't know about extraterrestrials. Could they be as friendly as we want? I'm sure there's some bad apples out there. I'm sure there is. I'm sure there are ones out there that would love to help us with our destruction. But overall, I think we do have to put into the conversation that there are ETs out there that are wanting to heal and help humanity get better. So we don't know which side of the ledger we stand on right now. It's all just obtuse conversation.
Yeah. And I was kind of wondering your opinion here, because I know you've talked to so many professionals that have really researched these topics. And in your opinion, do you think some of this is interpretation by the witness? Because isn't this very much along the hairline edge of an angel experience? Perhaps couldn't it easily be interpreted that way if it's a positive one that's healing? And do you think that historically perhaps ET experiences have been labeled as angels if it's been beneficial like this to the witness?
Could be. I don't think we could throw that out. I think it'd be very ignorant to say that, oh no, it's aliens, and those aliens are good guys, they're good fellas, and they're gonna save us from everything we screw up on, right? No, that's not the case. That's not the case. We don't know what they're like. We can hope that they are good and see the best for our humanity, but right now we don't know. So I think it's too early. Have people experienced healing, whether it's from disease or whether broken bones or something like arthritis or whatever it may be. Hey, there is a possibility that has happened, right? There is a possibility. All right, we don't know, but the majority of people out there who have been taken have not experienced this. But on the flip side, not to sound like I'm rambling, you do have to wonder about Dr. Edgar Mitchell's free experiencers, where their statistics show that 82% to 84% of all people who took their study, almost 5,000 people who have been abducted, would love for it to happen again because they had such a great experience.
I'm glad you brought that up. I'm really glad you brought that up because there's a lot of great information in that book about this. And for that matter, it brings up a lot of other interesting, concepts where we know that our brain can potentially heal the body, right? And so if we are convinced enough and through meditation and things like that, we can heal ourselves potentially. And so if we're convinced enough by an experience and our belief is strong enough in something, potentially we could be healed that way. Now, I've heard of that through religious means and through phenomenal means, although they're pretty close. And I find that very interesting. So do you think that somehow these, like I said, it's a very gray line how these things are divided. So historically, do you think, even in paintings, do you think we're seeing a lot of ET interaction being depicted as angels in art and in works, potentially?
Oh, you know what? I don't know, Tim. I wish I had a better answer for you than that, but I really don't know. You kind of caught me off guard with that because I was listening to you intently, and then it just kind of hit me like there really isn't a good answer to give on that. We can hope. I think that's the only thing we can say. We can hope. I don't think that's a fair answer, but it's all we got.
It's just you've got to wonder when we see such clear depictions of angels and ET and craft and things like that carved into stone, painted on walls, painted by Rembrandt. I mean, and
Yeah.
even modern painters. So it's up to us to interpret because we don't have the written answers on the back of them. We don't have a cheat sheet for that artwork. But I'm wondering, is
True.
it exactly what was seen? Is it a depiction of angels or was it ET?
Well, I don't know.
Yeah.
That's the thing. I wasn't around in the 1500s or 1600s or whenever Rembrandt was around. But I'm probably the worst guy to ask that question to because I am a creationist. Okay, and I do separate, in my opinion, and my opinion only, okay, I do separate the religious angelic side from the extraterrestrial side. Now, I'm not saying that the ETs don't have a healing ability. Humans have a healing ability. It's been proven. Okay. A lot of people will say, oh, it's just crap. But the Roman Catholic Church, love them or hate them, has deemed people as healers, through miracles. Chris Bledsoe has been deemed as a healer by some. So where do you take it? Where do you take it? Is it just aliens doing this? Do we all have the power to heal? We know scientifically speaking, our body can heal itself. I mean, look at somebody who quit smoking. Within 8 hours, their lungs have started healing itself. Right? So I don't know where to go with that. I'm a little stuck on that. Now, could Rembrandt or any of the great artists have thrown a few, you know, cliffhangers in their paintings? Sure. I mean, there's talk that Da Vinci did that as well. But who knows? We're a little too young to know those answers. And I don't really want to party like it's $15.99 again.
Right. Well, I think it's a little dangerous to get involved in any organization, that claims to have that ability and starts charging. That's always a big red flag. I don't know of them existing. I think I may have seen it in like a bad movie or something. But my whole thing is that I'm starting to see it more and more. And I love the fact that people like even Gary Nolan bring up the fact that we know that UFOs are potentially interacting with us in a way that's changing us and that can be, evaluated. I find that incredibly intriguing. And so if anything can be proven in that sense, and then that leads to the facts that people that are abductees, if they need it, are being healed, well, then that's a huge note from them. That's a love note from them. And that needs to come out and be publicized far more, than just in little blurbs like I'm reading. So I love the work that Gary Nolan is doing. I'm going to keep bringing his name up because I know this is the sort of thing he's trying to prove. So I love UFO healing, and I was excited to get this article out.
I agree. And I'm glad you shared it with us because I think it's one of those next steps that we are going to have to look at for sure. For sure. Tim, I'm going to have to say goodnight to you because it is time for us to almost move on and say goodnight to everybody in this show. A great UFO report tonight, my friend. And thank you so much for doing that for us here and being our resident UFO guy to the news.
Thank you.
We really appreciate it.
See you soon. Have a great weekend, everybody.
And thank you to our good friend Swamp Dweller for taking us down to the swamp. And of course, R Keith Andrews joining us for the ET Connection. We got Mr. Ron Bumblefoot Thal rocking in the background with Little Brother is watching. Bumblefoot is the official music of Spaced Out Radio, rocking us in and out of every single show. Get your horns up for the guitar god himself. Special thanks to everybody listening in at home, at work, in your cars, wherever you may be. Thank you to everyone in our chat rooms tonight. YouTube, Twitch, LGAP, Spreaker, Facebook, LinkedIn, and on Twitter at hashtag Spaced Out Radio. I know you're out there somewhere. Remember, this show is copyright by Spaced Out Radio and SOR Media Ventures Limited. Thank you so much for choosing to share your evening with us, because together, my friends, we're watching. We own the night. Mr. Bumblefoot, we need a favor. We need you to take us home. Yes, the Woo Train has docked for the night. But soon, my friends, we shall ride again. Your seats are always available. Your tickets never expire. And if you want to bring a friend, we've got room for them too. Good night. Dun, 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 dun. do, 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 do. Mm-hmm. 2 seconds, people. That was a fun night tonight. Fun night tonight. All right. Mr. Underhill over on Twitch, thank you for tuning us in, Mr. Underhill. Yes. Yes. Oh, wrong one. Wrong program. Any questions, comments that you have? I am officially available to ask me anything. Ask me anything. Ask me. Ask me. Do it. Do it. Do it. Ask me. My brother Eugene, he'll be in Vegas. Thanks, TMI Kevin. My mother is doing great. She's starting to become a little bit more mobile. And very happy to hear that, but I don't think she's ever going back home. I'm going to try and buzz down there here in the next couple weeks to try and see how she's doing. And my grandson, this was my wake up call this morning. Right there. Right there. Look how cute he is. Look how cute. Look at that little guy. Looks like he needs a shave already. Oh, look at him. Oh, yes, little sleepy head there. Oh, God, I love him. Oh, he's just so cute. All right, what else? Which cartel has Merle? No, Merle's down in Mazatlan, and they've shut the airport down. So they're kind of stuck in their hotel right now. See, all my friends always bug me, and they're like, hey, why don't you ever go to Mexico? Why do you always want to go to Vegas? You know why? There's no cartels in Vegas. Well, I'm sure they're there. But you know what? You're not getting cartelled. They're not going to close the airport. Worst thing that happens in Vegas, you get stuck with one of their flash floods. And then you just grab a tube and sail down Vegas Boulevard on a tube. It's a fantastic thing. That's what I would do. Nope. Ross, if I lent you my spaceship UFO, would you fly it around the world for laughs? Hell yeah, I would. Absolutely, Ross Lambda. Abso-frickin-lutely. And there's nothing you could do about it. Except find the end of this audio right there is where it is. Boy, did I bite off more than I can chew there. So, Philip, Have you ever had a ghost suddenly appear in the mirror behind you? No. That has not happened. I have seen orbs in my mirrors. That's when I lived with my ex-wife in our haunted house. That was kind of cool. It was like a little ball that was like coming down the hallway, and then it hung a left into our kitchen. Then it just vanished. God, that place was haunted. Oh, it was freaky in there. Let's go here to here. Pam, Dave, remember what happens in Vegas doesn't always stay in Vegas. No, but if you play by the rules, it's pretty fun. Love v love. How hairy are your butt cheeks, Dave, between a 1 and 10? Taking a poll on Canadian men. I have never been asked this before. I don't have a hairy butt. No, I don't. I'm sorry to break your heart, love v love. You know, a nice hand warmer place to keep your hands warm at night in prayer mode. No, can't help you out there. I'm about a 1. That is a freaking awesome question. Oh, that makes me laugh in a yawning sort of way. I am tired. Oh, gonna be up early tomorrow. My kid has hockey, and hockey Sunday. Hey, Nikki, I'm not too worried about that. They listen to the show every night. They're listening right now. I gave up on that fear long ago. Classically BC. Do you follow stories about the cities of gold like El Dorado? As long as there's a story behind it. I'm hungry. Shoot. Forgot to take my shots. Are your hands as smooth as your cheeks? I do moisturize. I do. Yeah. I do moisturize. So let's... Mm-hmm. Harry Balls, where you been hiding? I used to have a hockey coach. True story. I was 13 years old. I had a hockey coach named Harry Dick. True story. Worst coach I ever had, too. Could never get us up for a game. Hey, little Tommy Fessler. What are you doing up at this time of the hour? Little Tommy, look at that. He's grown so much over the past little bit. Spreading his wings, Making a name for himself. Supper tonight, I had rice, which I put some hot sauce in, some ghost pepper sauce. It was really good. And I had peas, because I love peas. And I had ribs. What's that? I'm like dying for a burger. You know when you just get a craving for like a certain fast food burger, like in the middle of the night, all of a sudden you're like craving like a Big Mac or something. I am craving right now a spicy chicken burger from A&W. They are so freaking good. So freaking good. Don't have In-N-Out burgers up here, Thomas. Don't rub it in that you got In-N-Out burgers. Oh, hot tamale. Come on. I'd let you take me to Taco Bell right now. By the way, whoever's going to Vegas, what do you say that we middle of the night make an Uber Eats order for Taco Bell and just go to town on that? Let's buy like $100 worth of Taco Bell and just go sit at a table and feast. I'll throw in the $100. I'll throw in the $100 for Taco Bell. I wish you could come, Tom. Totally wish you could come to Vegas with us. I know health-wise it's tough for you, man, but hopefully one of these years you're feeling good enough that you can come with us, man. Oh, hey, look at this. Here we go. This is good stuff. We found some good stuff here for you. Look at that. What an awesome shot that is. Don't you frickin' leave. We just got you on camera. Oh, there's another one. Look at that. Look at him. He's looking. What did I say? What did I say? Why did she walk off like that? Harry Butts, what's happening? Esmeralda, how are you? Those are called kudu. These ones right here are called kudu, Kudu. I'll be right back. All right, let me just close this down for 2 seconds. I like the giraffes. It's a nice change, isn't it? It's like when the ostriches appear. Well, look at them all now. It's very cool. Hey, Frost Kitten, how are you? Hi, Unknown. What channel is this? I don't know. Old Dania Wildlife live stream. Very cool. Oh, look, there's more giraffes coming back here. And one back there. Holy cow. This is fantastic. Great camera angle. Hidden in the deadwood. Hi, my Reed. Long time no see. Drop my lid. A little guy. Hey, where's everybody going? Where's everybody going? I'm on my way. One thing I've learned about animals out in the wild, and it's definitely for preservation, is they sure spook easy. They are always living on the edge. It's weird how they're all facing the same way. Like, what's over there? What's going on? Okay, that one's done. That one's done. That one's done. Excuse me 1 second here, guys. I love the giraffes. I'm just sitting here watching them. Fantastic. They are fantastic. Hey, guys, don't forget about our weekend shows as they return this weekend. Jessica Jones with Off the Trails, and then After Hours with Grant Baker, Marquise Williams, Danielle Diva, and Nick, the Bigfoot guy. Yeah, we're going to have a great time for you Saturday and Sunday starting at 7 p.m. Pacific, 10 p.m. Eastern. You could take it in on Saturday, Sunday. I will be back on Monday. Kathy Dan is going to be our guest. We're talking soulmates and soul families. We're going to have some fun with that. We will talk to you guys very, very soon. Have a great weekend, everybody. Thank you this tonight for our super chatters. Ollie, Molly, Simon, Pam, ×2, My Flock ×2, Maddie, Cat Chaser, Neuro, Kira, Thomas, and Carl. You guys have just a great weekend. We'll see you soon, everyone.